Hi guys, it's Colby. So if you want to see how I went ahead and got this really kind of done up but natural look, go ahead and keep on watching. I'm going to be using a couple of PUR products. You can follow along with this. If not, this is an IGTV, so you can save this for later. And again, you can skip anything in this tutorial for something that you like to do. This is just how I like to do my makeup for daily use. Just because we're in quarantine doesn't mean that we don't want to look good. So if you want to see how I got this look and what products I use, go ahead and keep on watching. Okay, let's go ahead and get started, guys. So I already have my brows on just because I cannot breathe or exist or live without my brows on. That's like the one thing that I have to do every day. Otherwise, quarantine feels like quarantine, right? But I went ahead and also prepped my skin. So I am using the 4-in-1 Energize and Rescue Primer from PUR. It's one of my favorites, actually. The reason why I love this is because it's filled with probiotics. So you can actually use this as a moisturizer if you want to, but I put it over my moisturizer because I actually have very, very dry skin. And then I also, around my nose, just because I've been getting a little chapped from wearing a mask sometimes, and around my ears and on my lips, I used a little bit of this. It's called Egyptian Magic. It's basically like an all-over skin salve / foam. I like this because just like PUR, it also has a lot of natural ingredients in there. It's got olive oil, beeswax, bee pollen, propolis, royal jelly, and honey in there. So this is great because you can use it as a mask, you can use it as a moisturizer, you can use it as like just a balm for dry areas. So I love to use this also as a highlight sometimes, but today my skin's looking pretty juicy, so we don't really need to do a whole lot. So let's go ahead and get started. As always, I'm gonna use my 4-in-1 Love Your Selfie. I wear the shade Light Neutral 4. What I like about this is that it comes in 100 shades, which is iconic. Like, who has 100 shades of foundation? PUR. I like to do about a pump on my hand, on the back of my hand, and then I like to, take a little bit of this. This is a lab sample. However, this has already been released of the No Filter Primer in the shade Rose Gold. They just shade expanded this. And it is also available on PUR.com and Ulta.com. So if you have not tried the No Filter yet, I definitely suggest doing it because it just kind of makes a nice glowy finish for the skin, but it's not super oily either. And the pearls that are in it are just to die for. So I'm just taking kind of like a dot of each, the foundation and the No Filter. I don't really like to use a lot of either. And I'm gonna mix them together on the back of my hand. And whatever's on my finger, I'm just gonna kind of like take and start dotting all over my face, kind of, making it somewhat even. This will translate a little bit more yellow on me, which I'm fine with because I have a lot of redness going on right now. Like, stress does horrible things to your skin. But for anybody who doesn't struggle with redness, you might be more interested in one of the other colors. Like I said, this comes in 100 shades. This also has a great, nice little ingredient called polysaccharide film, which is very unique because it's kind of like a film / barrier agent that helps protect you from high energy blue light while also simultaneously blurring the skin as you blend it into the skin, which to me, like, hello, who doesn't want like flawless Instagram ready skin all the time? Me. So we're just gonna go ahead and take that. I'm taking the rest on a beauty blender. This is actually not a beauty blender. This is Real Techniques beauty sponge. This is their fuzzy one. I think it's the velvet sponge. It's so good. It's so nice. It's nice and soft. I like that it kind of blends and blurs at the same time. So I'm just gonna take whatever's left on the back of my hand and just kind of put it everywhere, even underneath my eyes, because this is also a concealer product. So you can see that it like covers a lot of the redness and the discoloration. It kind of just makes me like an even blank canvas, which is the idea that we're going for. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue blending that out, and then we will go to the next step. as you can see, I am now completely finished blending out my face. I can already tell that my skin looks really glowy. It looks really natural. Part of that has to do with the fact that I did put the no filter in there in the shade Rose Gold. I have a slight pink undertone. I kind of play with that, kind of don't. If that color doesn't work for you, they do have a neutral shade. That's fine too. And if you're, again, more oily, that's fine. You can totally skip mixing and just use the Love Your Selfie or any foundation for that matter that you might have on hand. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in with one of my favorite items. This is the Cameo Contour Stick from PÜR also. I already use the foundation as concealer, but I kind of like to do a more highlighted look. I like to look naturally sculpted. We'll go in with that term. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the lighter end on this as my like concealer, which has a natural creamy matte feel to it. So this is gonna be really good to kind of not only double as like setting and brightening underneath my eyes, but also as a concealer. And then I'm also gonna use a little bit of the bronzing side just on my cheeks, just to give me some color, because we all know your boy ain't tanning right now. It's super cold here in Oklahoma. We got that famous Easter freeze. So we're just gonna go ahead and add a little sun into our life. So and now we're gonna go straight into the other side, which is the bronze side. I really like this color for me specifically because it's not like a crazy bronze color, and when it blends out, it's super soft and natural looking. Always go up, by the way. And it just kind of adds like a nice little sculpt. But like I like to do with this side, I'm gonna flip this over because it is more bronze. And if I wanna do any blending later, I don't wanna use the same side that I did my bronzer with. And you can see that it just adds like a subtle amount of definition into the face. Super natural looking, super like just easy. And then I'm gonna take a little bit right here, minimize that famous 5 head. Kind of give me a little bit more of that brightness through here. And then I like to take whatever's left and put it on my chin. I know that sounds really weird, but I don't know. I just kind of like to play up the fact that I have a dimpled chin, a slightly dimpled chin. It's not crazy. Okay, so as you can see, I can still see a little bit of my skin. It's not a whole lot. I can still see my skin. It's not a whole lot, and that's fine. That's kind of like the idea behind all of this. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back into that light side, and with my finger, I'm just going to kind of press it into the lid just to kind of conceal. Because this has like a naturally matte texture to it, like I said, it doesn't tend to crease and it kind of sets on its own. So that's what I like to use on my lids to kind of like bring out my lashes whenever I'm going for a more natural look. And then take the sponge and kind of just pounce it. Fuzzy again. Ooh. If you have animals and you do makeup, God bless you. Look, I'm like, it just gets right up into everything. Okay, so just to make sure that everything stays nice and smooth, we're gonna go back over everything, blend it all out, pick up any hairs. And I always like to go into my lip mist. You can tell this is a much loved product. You can use any setting spray. Obviously, this is the PÜR one. This one also has the blue light defense technology in there, so it's gonna keep you protected from these lights that I have going on right now, and also the light from your cell phones. But I like to do this between layers because if you set your layers, that means that they're less likely to move throughout the makeup process. Because we all know, we've been there setting our concealer before and it's like already creasing. And we don't want that to happen. So I'll blend this out a little bit with my fingers. It's completely okay to touch your face with your fingers as long as you start with clean hands. Make sure you're washing your hands for 20 seconds at a time. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's really not. trust me, I do it for a full 30 seconds, which is 10 seconds more than what they say that you have to. So just make sure that your hands are clean, okay? Make sure that your hands are clean. We're gonna go ahead and go into our next step, which is going to be setting the face. So I'm gonna use the PÜR Loose Translucent Powder. This is my favorite powder to set my face with and also to bake with. It has actual hyaluronic acid spheres in there that burst on contact with the skin. So it's gonna keep me hydrated because, again, I say I am super dry. However, if you are super oily, this is gonna be great for you also because it does have some natural clays and powders in there that are gonna help absorb excess oil throughout the day. Now, what I've done is I've taken my handy dandy flat edge for like makeup and I've kind of like wedged it into the side here. You can kind of see right here. And I kind of just like lift it up a little bit. Whoop. Well, that happened. But that's okay. I just kind of like lift up the side and pull off the top so that way I can like really get into my powder. And then I'm going to go ahead and dip into my powder like so. So I'm just gonna very lightly tap in like this and I'm going to press it into my under eye area. Now you can do this if you are dry or oily, especially with this powder. However, being that I am more dry, I'm not going to leave that bake there for very long. For those of you who don't know what baking is the process of the natural body heat warming the foundation and the powder and blending it into a single layer of cohesive foundation. So that's really good for anybody who struggles with texture. I'm taking what's left of this and pressing it into the eyelid. It's good for anybody with texture, with large pores. I have both texture and large pores. So I definitely try to hide and minimize that part of my face a lot. And then I'm going to press into my forehead. You don't have to do this everywhere, just mostly everywhere that you want to stay super smooth. So for me, that's my forehead, underneath my eyes, sides of my mouth, and my chin. Now that that's done, I'm going to very gently take this brush that I swept the powder up with before. I'm gonna go over my brows. I might go back in on those just because they're getting a little bit paler. And I'm just going to very lightly dust it everywhere that I didn't press it in already. So like for me, that's my cheeks, set those areas. I don't like to kind of bake those areas because like I said, dry. And those areas, if I bake them, typically will turn a little bit yellow on me and or show a lot of texture. So this brush is gonna be really helpful for kind of pressing that product in and moving it around a little bit. So now that we have done all of that, we're gonna move on to the next step for me, which is kind of like a bronzing step, also like a setting step. So you can do this whether you bronze or set or not. This is a foundation powder in the shade Blush Medium. I do not like how pale I am, so I'm gonna take this on my neck, right through here. And what it's gonna do is it's just gonna add some natural color because it's all kind of like, you know, one color right now, except for this area where I already put a little bit of bronzer. So I'm gonna take a kind of like just a nice little, you know, tapered brush, and I'm just gonna swirl and tap the powder. This is the PÜR 4-in-1 Mineral Powder, which can double as bronzer depending on the shade that you get. And I like to kind of put this in the area, I call it the blush zone, to kind of like blend my natural skin color into that bronzer that I had on there before. And then I also like to put it on my chin. Taking that on the nose. Again, we want to look like we stepped outside and that we socialized without actually having to socialize. Social distancing is important. Bless you. And now it looks like I am healthy and that I have a tan. If you are somebody who feels like they need something on their eyes, a trick from me to you can do this with anything. You can do this with blush, bronzer, foundation powder of a darker shade, not even a darker shade. I'm gonna take a little bit of the blush medium and I'm just gonna kind of put it all over with the same brush that I put all over my face, because it doesn't really matter. It's not like it's gonna blend it. It's not really gonna, you know, add texture or anything. It's just kind of blending it, and it gives it this nice like softened, kind of blown out look that's really, really natural, but not as pink as like my natural lid, which is what I like. I like it to look more sculpted. And then you can just kind of like taper that out to the sides. Yeah, so after you've done that, you can then take your handy dandy little blush. This is also a PUR blush. You can use any products, like I said before. You can use any bronzer, any foundation powder. This is not, you know, sponsored, I guess. I do work for this company, so I do get a lot of free stuff from them. And I also genuinely enjoy using it. So you guys are getting to see it hands-on. This is the shade Pretty in Peach. I like that it's kind of marbled. So like you see like the flecks of pink, the peach, and then also a little bit of a coral in there, which is really nice. With the same brush that I just did that foundation powder, I'm gonna just take a little bit through here on the apples of my cheeks. I know that a lot of people think it's really pointless and dumb to actually smile when you do this, but I think it's great. You can do your makeup however you want. By the way, you can wear whatever you want. It doesn't matter if it looks good to other people. As long as it looks good to you, it looks good to you, honey. Okay? Okay. Again, we'd like to set between layers. So taking some more lip mist and pressing that in. Okay, so now we're gonna highlight. I am going to use an oldie but a goodie. This is my favorite highlight palette from PUR. I really hope that they bring this formula back. It's literally perfect, it's everything. But this is the PUR Pro Highlight Palette. As you can see, it is well loved, but that is okay. You can use any highlight that you want, that you wish for. Super easy to use. I'm gonna go ahead and go into the shades Sultry and Sunset and kind of mix these two together because it's like peachy gold realness. And again, we wanna fake the look of sun-kissed skin, right? Oh God, you can already see it. It's so pretty. Okay, there we go. All right, next step. So here's what we're gonna do next. I am going to go ahead and put on some mascara and primer. Switch those around. Mascara and primer. And we are going to go ahead and continue on with the face. Okay, so I went ahead and used my PUR Fully Charged Mascara Primer and mascara. This is them right here. I love using these together. Sorry, fuzzy again. I love using these together because they really make my lashes just kind of like stand out. Now, as you can see, I got a little bit on my lid and a little bit right here in the corner. I'm gonna actually show you what I like to do to kind of like keep that wet, like fix it basically. So you just take like a dry Q-tip and you honestly just like go over it a little bit and it picks up that texture, takes it away, which is actually really handy. You can use this technique for honestly like anything, like excess powder, fallout, especially like if you're trying to avoid it from like messing up your makeup. Now, I like to make my lash line look a little bit thicker. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually gonna take a little bit of eyeliner and just kind of like border that very edge. This is going to be the liquid eyeliner from PÜR, which is a limited edition from their holiday set. However, if you have a liquid liner that you like, you can obviously use that too. So hold on one sec and we'll be right back for that. Okay, now that that's done, as you can see, it just kind of like makes the lashes look a little bit thicker. It's not the most even, but I don't really care. It's not really that big of a deal to me. And after I did that, I went ahead and went in with a lash comb. This is the secret to keeping your lashes looking super fluttery, super separated. Invest in a high quality lash comb. This one is a metal lash comb, which is actually really nice to use to kind of like separate, but I just did that after everything so that way I could just kind of like lift them back up after stamping on that liner. So this is almost done. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take a nice little mauve lip liner. This is the shade Teddy from PÜR. I'm gonna throw that on my lips and then a little bit of gloss and then we're gonna be done. So stay tuned. All right, guys, I went ahead and did this lip with the Teddy lip liner from PÜR, which is a self-sharpening lip liner, and then the Sheer Wisdom Lush Lip Oil from, I believe this is Butter London, in the shade Dusty Mauve to give me kind of this like shiny, nice and dewy pout. And last but not least, I'm gonna take some Miracle Mist, which is actually a toner, but I love to use it as a setting spray. So this is it. This is the final look. So I hope you guys liked it. I hope that it was easy and follow alongable, if that's even a phrase. But if you have any questions about how to do this, just let me know. Give me a shout out. I will be listing everything in the description that I used product wise. And then if you guys have any, recommendations on things that you would like to see for videos, just let me know. So thanks for watching, guys. And I hope that you guys have a great day. And I hope that quarantine isn't too hard on you. We're just gonna stick in this together and we're gonna win together, and we have the power to stay positive. So let's stay positive and really kick this in the butt. All right, have a great day, guys.